All right.
Welcome to episode number 55 of the Sundowners Golf Club podcast. I am sitting in beautiful Dallas, Texas, where it was 104 degrees and 70% humidity today. And I'm here in a hotel room, so forgive me for the video or audio quality. And I'm also with Matt Colwell, the co-host. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, I think sometimes we start these podcasts and talk about personal stories, and I have given you no lead up to what happened to me just 30 minutes ago before we jumped on here. So sorry for the gross detail, but every parent is going to understand what I went through this evening. So my youngest, we're potty training, and I was upstairs, and I get a voice from Mallory screaming up, "Hey, I need your help. Rory needs to go to the bathroom." The toilet downstairs where the kids normally go is being used by one of the other 4 children because we have 5 children in this house at times. So we have to get her upstairs. So I pick her up and I sprint as quick as I can across the house and get to the bathroom. And I grab the waistband of her pants, thinking we just need to get her on so she can go pee. It was not. It wasn't. I get the waistband down because we're at the point now where we're not doing diapers. It's just, big girl underwear and pants. And I pull it down and it was full. It was full and it went everywhere. Everywhere, on the toilet, on the kid, on me, on the floor. I threw everything in the bathtub. And luckily it has like a removable shower head and I was able to like spray it down. And I was in the middle of like cleaning up and Mallory came in. She's like, "Can I get your help?" I said, I need you to go because I am dealing with some stuff. I'm going through some things here and I don't need witnesses. I don't need people snickering. It took me a little bit to, get my my senses back to me because that was a bad one.
Yeah, I get some of those when I have the kids staying over at my house. One of my nieces, she's very prone to vomiting. I swear there was one time where she puked in our tent out at the lake cabin, and her mom says it's because she has popcorn. And I don't think it's the popcorn physically causing it. I think she had one bad experience with popcorn. Kernel got stuck in her throat, and so now it's like anytime she has popcorn, she ends up puking. And she puked in our tent all over my daughter's favorite little pillow stuffy thing, and it's turned into like a legendary story in our family. But not too long ago, all the kids were staying over, and sure enough, they had popcorn. 2 a.m, she wakes up, "Uncle Giovanni, I need help." And we spent the next 30 minutes in the bathroom, her trying to do her thing. It's just the beauties of raising children, nieces and nephews, stepchildren, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
just the beauties, the sights and the sounds. I have, we've had some listeners give us some feedback and they get a kick out of some of our personal stories. I'm curious the feedback on those kinds of stories because we can let them fly.
that one's one of those ones where I think guys that don't have kiddos might be. I mean, they could just as easily not care, but I don't think if there's anybody that's gonna be like, "Oh man, come on, you don't need to tell that," it's likely people that don't have kids, and the ones with kids are like, "Yeah, I have a similar story."
Yeah,
So
every parent has the same story. I have two that I'm just not going to share just for the sake of talking about poop on the podcast.
I felt like I said enough without saying exactly what we were dealing with.
Yep,
So
yep, yep. No, totally, totally. No, I had the other day. Let's see, it would have been the Thursday, I think. Was picking up. I'll leave names out of this one, but picking up a family friend's dad from a colonoscopy, and pick him up. They sedate him for it, so they bring him out in a wheelchair. Very, very close family friend. He's like a dad to me, and I'm actually in a meeting as I'm picking him up. So I got my headphones on in the truck, and I'm like, "Hey, Carl," or I just mentioned his name, Bigot. I was like, "Hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I'm so sorry." And so I'm like, tune into the meeting. It's one of those meetings where like the end of the meeting takes like 20 minutes to wrap up, and so I'm listening to the meeting, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, "Sorry, what?" Muting it really quick. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And we went through that little exercise like 17 times on the short drive home. And so we pick up McDonald's on the way home. And so I'm finally done with the meeting. I go sit down, and we're just eating McDonald's on the dining room table, just catching up and talking. And he starts to talk about, the process of the colonoscopy and the pills that they give you, 2 days in advance, and like how quickly they work. And by golly, they work really well. And I'm just like, the stuff usually doesn't affect me, but when you're like looking him in the eye across the dinner table and I'm eating a Big Mac, I just was like,
Yeah.
then finally I was like, we should finish our food first. He starts laughing. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm sorry." And you know what, man? He reminded me those days are not too far in our future, Matt. Those colonoscopy checks, I swear every like 2 years there's a new article about, the recommended age for colonoscopies and scans. It's like creeping into the 40s, which is right around the corner for us.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Got it.
Yeah. So anyhow, the whole point of this podcast is not to talk about colonoscopies and potty training our kids. It's to recap the 2026 U.S. Open, where Wyndham Clark wins. True, what do they call it? Start to finish. Front runner, is that how we would describe that? But he
I
goes
would
off
say, pole to pole,
wire to wire. That's
wire
the
to
phrase
wire.
I'm
I knew it
looking
was something like
for.
that.
Jeez, we don't have a lot of those on the PGA Tour, and Wyndham Clark goes off, shoots 6 under on the first day of the tournament. It seemed like the weather quieted down in just enough time, about a 45-minute window on Thursday, where Wyndham Clark just went off, and he was able to hold on to that lead. He finishes 4 under to win the tournament over Sam Burns. What are what's your initial reaction if you could sum up this Open Championship, U.S. Open Championship? How would you sum it up in a sentence or two?
It's great. Matt loved it. I think I'm going to go on recency bias and like comment on something. We talked about how he took advantage of a window, and there's some people out there that are kind of like, oh, he just luck of the draw. But there's a lot of golfers on the course at the same time he was out there, and he's the only one that really took advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like, Dustin Johnson shot, a 66 that day. Woodland, Matt Fitzpatrick, he shot 67. So there's a couple other guys out there, but Wyndham did. This is the cool thing about golf is it's 4 days. You got to do it for 4 days. He had his rough one on Sunday that made it a little interesting. But this is a good tournament, man. Like we kind of called it. I don't remember what score I said it was going to be, but if I'm not mistaken, I think I said 4 or 5. So yeah, it was the tournament we thought it was going to be. I think visually I was a little like the greens were a little wonky looking on TV, and it wasn't so much the colorization of it, but you could see, where they had kind of put I don't know what they called it, but they put some water down into the grass, and they kind of had some holes, aeration type holes. That was kind of weird to see. So sometimes you'd see a ball kind of, I don't know, not jump around like you and I are used to on a muni course, but just not quite as tidy as PGA events normally are. But for the most part, man, it was a good tournament. It was fun. It was hard. Guys kind of got their teeth kicked in, and this is what the U.S. Open is, man. Good for Wyndham.
So I do want to talk about the course as a whole. We'll go through the leaderboard, but I do want to address these holes that you're talking about, because I guess they didn't stand out to me, but there was a lot of discussion about Shinnecock superintendent and PGA Tour and USGA or whoever it was making the decision to syringe the greens, they called it. And I'm almost certain they clarified what syringing the greens is, and they went on to say it's just simply just spraying the greens briefly just to give the grass blades a little bit of water. So I don't actually know they're syringing anything. I think it's just a phrase. In fact, I don't know this for a fact, but I just typed in what is syringing greens.
Mm-hmm.
According to AI overview, it says syringing greens is a golf course maintenance practice where greenskeepers apply a very light mist or spray of water solely to the grass blades rather than soaking the soil. So I don't know if what you were seeing may have been just preparation for the course, and obviously they probably roll these things and try to push them as close to death as they can before the U.S. Open comes around. So maybe it's just similar to what we saw at like Pumpkin Ridge when we were there last year. Like it's just
Yeah.
certain indentations and marks on the green. But when you do that on really firm and dried out greens, I think those imperfections kind of come to light.
Yeah. No, I
Interesting.
just I don't remember. I guess I don't know what I was seeing, but I remembered there was like indentations. I didn't think it was from the syringing. I knew that the
Okay.
syringing was just spraying it, but there just seemed to be, I don't know, they weren't like,
Yeah.
smooth
Yeah.
as
I mean,
glass. You could tell that there was some texture still on there.
yeah. Now let's look at the leaderboard first, and then I do have some things I want to talk about with the course. I guess the good and the bad. But as we mentioned, Wyndham Clark wins his second U.S. Open. It was kind of cool to see his last putt be like a massive lag putt, which is the exact same thing he did when he won over at LACC a few years ago. Just a beautiful putt from 30, 40, 50 feet to tap in distance. Just kind of a cool way for a guy to win it. It is funny because I do remember when he won LACC, just thinking, I was like, you don't often see a guy fist bumping a lag putt, and he did it again this year, big fist bump. So Wyndham Clark wins his second U.S. Open, two-time major champion now at this point. Also a guy that we had talked a lot about last week, and we were just kind of reviewing and previewing the tournament. Wyndham Clark name was just floating on the top of all these leaderboards for the last 3 or 4 weeks, including a win. Again, as mentioned, Sam Burns finished one behind at -3. Tom Kim seemingly comes out of nowhere to get a solo third. JT Poston, Keith Mitchell, and Scotty Scheffler, T4. Joaquin Neiman, who we'll talk a little bit about, Tyrrell Hatton, Gary Woodland, Sam Stevens at T7. And then we'll just round off the top 10. So we have Justin Rose, who I don't know that I saw any golf shots on Sunday. Aaron Rai also didn't see any. John Perry, Tommy Fleetwood, Xander Schauffele, and Sahith Theegala all got T11 for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I sent you in our little chat a link. There's some pictures if you want to share them of what the green, my memory is. This was leading into, I think this was taken on Wednesday.
Okay.
Golf.com.
When they pop up, I'll display them on here. So let's talk about Wyndham Clark. This was truly, I think I remember texting you about this. It's truly the first time I've really ever seen anything like it, where the crowd was actively rooting against Wyndham Clark. I mean, it was kind of shocking, and most of my watching was actually not watching. I was listening to the broadcast, had my phone propped up in my truck on the way home from Leavenworth, and so I'm listening, and there's a hole. I can't remember which hole is the back nine. Scotty Scheffler and Wyndham Clark both have birdie putts. Scotty rolls in his birdie putt. It was probably a 19-20 footer, and the crowd goes absolutely nuts. And about 14 seconds later, Wyndham Clark, who's the leader of the tournament, also makes a birdie putt. They're in the same group, and you just get a really gentle golf clap. I was like, what's going on here? And there's guys, saying, get in the bunker. They're cheering for him when he hits it in the bunker. It was a bizarre scene. And I personally, I don't even know if I really love it or hate it. I don't know that I feel strongly about it. I will say though, as a staunch Wyndham Clark hater, I could just tell you truthfully that I would never do that, even if it was like a non-American, right? Like it's just a weird thing to do, I think, in golf. As a viewer, and like watching it, it was kind of fun, right? It kind of added some flavor to the tournament.
Yeah.
I just found it strange. I just haven't seen that anywhere outside of like a team, international type event like President's Cup, Ryder Cup, Walker Cup. it was strange. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, what do you think about that at a golf tournament?
I I think when you act the way Wyndham does, I think for a long time we put up with, you know, maybe just being quiet about guys like Sergio being complete buffoons, right? I mean, it's not that Sergio went without critique, but I don't remember ever people talking about, fans in the gallery taunting Sergio or saying anything. Um, and I think Wyndham just went a step too far at Oakmont. I think when you damage the property of a place that golf people love and is a place to be, to be respected.
It's listed as a National Historic Monument in the state of
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
I think when you cross that line and disrespect, golf there, um, I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback, and I think that's what we're seeing. Do I think it's right? I don't know, but the mob mentality oftentimes tells you the temperature of whatever it is we're talking about, and the temperature obviously towards Wyndham Clark is not good, right? And I thought it was curious. I was listening to Smiley's show, and he very much is kind of a pro Wyndham. He's like, look, man, I've heard a lot of stories about guys doing some pretty crazy stuff in locker rooms. And he had a perspective of something that I'll admit, like I hadn't thought about. And when I reread kind of the highlights, he said, look, we don't know how that locker was damaged. We just know that Wyndham damaged it. He's like, that's all we know, is that Wyndham damaged it. He's like, does that mean he punched the wicker? Could be. Could that mean he just kicked the piss out of a golf bag and the golf bag went flying and then damaged it? So he didn't really have any intent of hitting the locker and then the locker got damaged. Is that still okay? No. But it is a little bit different than him just walking up to a locker and just smashing it with his hand, you know? Um, and so with that perspective, I get some of these golf guys are like, look, like I've seen some guys do a lot wilder stuff in locker rooms and whatnot, and they just had the luck of it not being reported, and now Wyndham is in the public eye. Now, while that is true, that wasn't Wyndham's only misstep. I mean, he kind of has a joke of an apology, and then he just loses his crap on a tee box and damages tee boxes. I mean, so he's not a one-time breaking the code of conduct guy, right? I mean, he's a multiple time abuser. So I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to go to a golf tournament and heckle a golfer. Even Rory wouldn't do it. But do I understand it, like, from the mob mentality? Yeah, man. Look, like, we are in a society where we have a moral code. Like, is it legal or illegal? That's doesn't matter, right? Like, we as a society have a code of conduct that we hold each other to, and in my opinion, a lot of times is good, right? It keeps people from doing things that they shouldn't, because it's like, look, maybe I didn't get caught by the law, but my community knows what I did, and my community doesn't have to sit with a jury to cast me out, right? So I get it. I wouldn't do it, but I understand it, man. Like, you have to be on your best behavior now, Wyndham. Like, that's just the thing. Like, you have now crossed the line into being just kind of a naughty boy, and you got to sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It really is, I think, a mob mentality thing. I mean, gosh, I just don't know anybody personally that would do that. It's like a thing that I like I said, I don't love it, I don't hate it. I maybe don't like it, but I don't even know if it's like a problem worth addressing, I guess. Right? It's like it just
Yeah.
happened. And I remember I'm just thinking like some guys could probably thrive off of that, right? It just depends on the person and I don't know if you'd say Wyndham thrived on Sunday, but I mean you never know. Like it's like that could just be fuel for some guys and I just chalk that up to like it's just sport, right? It's a very different conversation than we had after the Ryder Cup when and to be clear, I don't really know all the things that were said to Wyndham aside from just a large group of people actively hoping he didn't win. But it just kind of felt like good old fashioned fun. It's really no different than, gosh, I said I was going to be his fan. Ryan Gerard, last week when he chirped back at the guy saying, "Get in the bunker." And he goes, it's not in the bunker. What did he say at the end of that?
Not in the bunker, bro.
No, not in the bunker, dog. I mean, it's no different than that, right? And
Right.
I don't know. It's coming up a lot in dialogue. I think I can't remember the name of the stinking guy. One of the golf talking heads said we shouldn't allow Long Islanders to view a PGA tournament. We shouldn't have tournaments there anymore. I think that's a bit of a step too far. I don't know. Just interesting, flavor to the week was truly just kind of a shocking difference in just crowd reaction to Wyndham. Doesn't help he's playing with Scotty, a guy who's going for a career Grand Slam. I also want to note that I think Wyndham handled it really well after the tournament, both at the trophy ceremony and then also in his press conference. He just kind of acknowledged it straight on. He's like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird when this stuff happens, but in a lot of ways, they have the right to do that. It's they have a reason to do that, and all I can do is hope to win over the fans. Either to show that I've changed or win some new fans, whatever it is." He kind of just took it on the chin and said, "Hey, I did some stupid stuff, so I understand why people might not like me."
Yeah.
And I think that's really all you can ask for, I think, in these scenarios, right? It's not like he's a criminal.
Yeah. No, totally. And yeah, we were in a group chat with Jared this week, and sidebar, that guy really hated the broadcast.
I mean, that's worthy of another discussion.
But if we take all that kind of stuff out, I think when we first started this podcast, I was pro Wyndham Clark, right? He's a Colorado guy. There's not a lot of Colorado guys on the tour, right? I mean, there's been a few, famously David Duval was a Colorado guy. In fact, I think as a kid, David Duval was probably the first big time from Colorado athlete I remember. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And so I always kind of liked Wyndham. I mean, he grew up on the yuppier side of the same town I grew up in. But when the Oakmont thing happened, I was just kind of like, that's a step too far. I'm out. But listening to Smiley and these guys talk, like, look, man, he's one of the best golfers. He's on a run. He just won his second major tournament, which, puts him into, with some of the other names that we talk about being the best in the game today. So credit to him, man. And it's the US Open. I mean, this is a difficult tournament to win. It's not easy. You have to play well. He had a window that not every golfer in the tournament had, and he seized it. I mean, there's a lot of guys playing at the same time he was and didn't take advantage. He did.
Yeah, you mentioned two-time major winner. I mean, just to just compare to other two-time major winners, you got guys like Jose Olazabal, Retief Goosen, Angel Cabrera, Martin Keimer, Bubba Watson, Greg Norman, Bernard Longer, Curtis Strange, Sandy Lyle, Fuzzy Zeller. I mean, it's hard to win these majors. It's in fact, if you look at the rankings, that puts him 48th all time in most major wins. One more brings him up to 31st with other names like Vijay Singh, Padraig Harrington, Payne Stewart, Spieth. Yeah, I mean, it's a big win for him. It's like when it's all said and done, I kind of feel this way with a lot of tournaments. By the time it's all said and done, no matter what happened that week, you just can't really help but just kind of be happy for the guy, right? There was some of that talk about, that window where he kind of went off on Thursday, this talk about waves, and he's lucky that there was a 45-minute period where he could go out and score. It's like you said, it's 72-hole tournament. A lot can happen. I mean, these things can change. I think Dustin Johnson shot like a 7 on a par 3. He was in like 4 bunkers in one hole. And that's a guy that shot 66 on the first day, right? He was in the mix. And, those are all things that Wyndham Clark didn't do. He played excellent golf. I do want to talk a little bit about the golf course. There was some talk with me and Matt, OG Matt, we're talking about Shinnecock and just like where it stands like on our list of courses that we want to play, don't want to play. And we both kind of admitted that like outside of, when it comes around, I guess in 2018, like we all know about Shinnecock. Like we know it's a course, we know it's a prestigious course where they play majors, but I just don't know much about it. Like there's not a lot of recognizable holes. And so we started like just digging around, and it seems like a really cool course, but just on TV, it just kind of looks like any other U.S. Open course. Like it looks a lot like Oakmont. It has a little bit of similarities to I don't know, places like gosh, why am I spacing on the course where they played the Ryder Cup in was it Wisconsin, Michigan? Dang, I'm
Which
spacing on the
one?
name. They played the Ryder Cup there, home Ryder Cup.
Whistling?
Whistling Straits, yes, had some Whistling Straits vibes. Gosh, I don't know how that left my mind. But just like optically speaking, I guess like for like a non like hardo golf guy, I feel like it just looks like a run of the mill course. You might even say it looks like a bad course, right? Because of the discoloration. You and I know that that's a beautiful thing when they're playing U.S. Open, but
Right.
I absolutely loved how it played this week. They have massive, massive fairways, and the penalty for missing the fairways was loud. It was evident. It was clear. And it kind of gave the players the opportunity every hole, right? It's like, hey, we have these really, really big fairways. Some of them are hard to hit. Some of them are easier to hit. But like it's just presented to you almost like in such a such fair, clear way. Like here's what you have to
Right.
do, and if you don't do it, you're going to be punished. Um, the greens were interesting because some of the holes, the greens, the approach shots would take a massive bounce. Other ones would like almost stop and check back. It just kind of added flavor to this tournament that we typically expect to see, some level of carnage or chaos or unpredictability. And I felt like it did it in just such a truly fair way.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of completely sidebar to what you're saying, but to the point of like what it looks like on TV, it just kind of has US Open vibes. I am fully on board with treeless courses. For whatever reason, I think this one like closed closed it for me. I'm in for treeless courses. I like it. They look good. They just kind of seem expansive. I think playing treed courses is one thing, but man, treeless courses kind of look cool on TV.
We talked about this on our preview pod for the U.S. Open last year at Oakmont. We just talked about like the transformation of Oakmont and
Yeah.
how at some point in the past they went and did just that. They just were removing some trees and finally they just removed all of them. And I'm with you. I'm all in on that. There is something about it, and I can't even like put my finger on what it is about a treeless course. It's something I didn't even realize until you said it, right? And you look back, you're like, God, I like that. I like it a lot. It's just I don't know. It's I think of my own golf game, like I love to play Wine Valley in Walla Walla, and that's a treeless golf course. And there's just something about it. It just kind of scratches the itch. And I think it does feel a little bit more, I guess, linksy and expansive, and in some ways it makes it feel a little bit more challenging, right? Like sometimes you'll play a course where it's tree lined and it almost feels like bumpers. It's almost like,
Yeah.
all right, and I know the exact shape I need to hit it here. But when it's
So
treeless, all of those straight lines over bunkers look a little bit more doable.
later in the year last year, I went up to Indian Canyon on my own and just got a tee time by myself. And I ended up playing with this guy about our age, maybe a little younger. And he was a hell of a golfer. He was really fun to play with. I almost regretted having a cart because I was in a cart by myself when he was walking, and I would just like drive next to him because we just hit it off really well. He was a Canadian guy. He came down. I think he was in the lumber business, and that's neither here nor there. We were playing the course, and I mentioned that I lived in the Tri Cities, and he goes, "Oh, I've been to the Tri Cities. I played this course, Horn Rapids. Have you played it?" I said, "Yeah, I've played it a lot." And he says, "Man, that course just kicked my teeth in, man. Like he's like, I just couldn't. I never felt comfortable." And kind of talking for a second about it, and what he brought up was, being from Canada and playing in Spokane, and like most of the places he goes because of his business specifically, all the courses are tree lined. And that when he came down here to Tri-Cities and played Horn Rapids, he's like, it's really off-putting when you're standing on a tee box and there's just this seemingly endless fairway that you have no idea how far away it is. He's like, a bunker could be 100 or 300 yards away. The dog leg could be reachable or not. He's like, you just don't know. He's like, so everything is suspicious, and it really makes you question where you're aiming and what you're supposed to do next. And I hadn't really thought about that, because my perspective is when I go to tree line courses, I'm like, God, it feels like I'm playing in a tunnel. Like I have to hit a rifle shot here because I can't go left or right because there's these big old dang trees in my way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I think U.S. Open courses, or these pro courses, I think it's fun. It looks good on TV. I don't know. I think maybe for those guys especially, it isn't as intimidating, and so I think maybe they're more likely to end up over there than they maybe are in the trees, because they know if I'm in the trees, I'm screwed. Whereas if it's completely expansive, it doesn't look as scary on the tee box, and maybe end up there more. I have no science or data to back this up, but that's what I feel, man. I'm committing to it.
I like it. Now, just to tie up a little bit from the U.S. Open, we are now 3 major championships into the season, so now we have the Open Championship to look forward to. As I mentioned a couple names here, I just thought Tom Kim coming up and being tied for second after Saturday was kind of crazy. He's a guy that was gosh, he ended up winning, what was it, the John Deere or something, after shooting a quadruple bogey on the first hole, and ended up winning the tournament. Right around that time frame, he was kind of like this young stud, really young kid, always in the mix. And he just, in my eyes, came out of nowhere to get a top 5. Keith Mitchell, as we mentioned, he shot a 41 on the front 9 on Thursday, followed up with a 29 on the back 9.
That's my shout out of outside of winning the tournament. I think my shout out of the tournament has to be Keith Mitchell getting T4 after shooting a 41 on the first 9 of the tournament. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day, especially at the U.S. Open. You could easily make the assumption that a guy that shoots 41 on the front 9 on Thursday at a U.S. Open is probably packing it in a little bit, right? And maybe he did, and he's like, I'm just going to be reckless. Admittedly, I didn't watch any of his round on Thursday, but and then for him to finish top 5 is it's crazy. It almost makes you think like, golly, he's probably kicking himself for like 6 of those holes in the front 9. Speaking of kicking yourself, Joaquin Niemann ended up finishing +1, so 5 off the lead to finish T7. On Thursday, hole number 6, he ends up shooting an 11. I believe he ended up hitting it OB twice, ends up throwing his club, which he got a 2-stroke penalty for, and then finishes with an 11. So what would that be? 7 over par on that one hole. And he's got to be kicking himself, because even if he double bogeys that hole, he ends up tied for the lead in a playoff with Wyndham Clark. Because otherwise, shot a fantastic 72 holes, or 71 holes, I should say.
Now, so I only want to talk about a couple more things, because there's another item we need to touch on today. But there's a lot. The Joaquin Niemann thing seems to have golf people split down the middle. There seems to be a very pro, he should have been penalized, right? And then there's this crowd of like, well, all these other guys aren't penalized. And I'll be honest, I don't know which side I agree with more. And I think where I've settled is, I think he deserved to be penalized. And I also believe other people should be penalized. I don't think he should be not penalized simply because other people weren't penalized. Like, I think that sort of behavior, I think we need to cull it. I don't think it's appropriate. And I don't think that we should be allowing our professional golfers to behave that way. So I'm pro it, but I also understand the people that are like, well, it's not a fair distinction. It's like, well, it's I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter who claims that they're a rules official and have been a rules official at tournaments, right? So they kind of have a pretty good understanding of how these things happen. And I was going back and forth with them, and I asked him, I said, hey, like in the USGA, it states the committee, and it purposely puts in quotes, the committee has to put these rules in place, right? When it comes especially to player conduct and behavior. And I asked him about that specifically. I said, is this put in per tournament or is this put in per the season? Like, what does this look like? He said, in situations like this, there's usually like a players meeting at the very beginning. If it's a USGA tournament, they're going to go over kind of the nitpick stuff that they could be called out for. And this would be one of them. If you hurl your club, there's a chance that you're going to not just receive a warning, but that you're going to receive a stroke penalty. And he said it is up to the committee. Like it is let's check the temperature. Like it has to be egregious enough for that they feel like it should be penalized. So there is there is a subjectivity to it, which I thought was interesting. So apparently they talked about it. I would have guessed that it was probably something that they addressed early on for it to happen quick in the tournament, right? So I don't know. I think it happens. I think it should happen more often.
Yeah, I mean,
to quote a great man, we got to start stroking guys.
Old Brooks Koepka quote. I don't really feel strongly on this guy got penalized, this guy didn't. But I think most people could probably agree that like if there were less club throws on the PGA Tour, it'd be a better tour, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like look at a guy like Wyndham Clark, right? We're already talking about it. It makes me think that if there is a pretty clear two-stroke penalty, if you chuck your club, then maybe a guy like Wyndham Clark, his reputation would be a little bit better. I do want to point out a tweet or a X post from Gabby Herzig. She says, I'm going to read it word for word. Just talked to a volunteer, Tristan Chang, who witnessed Joaquin Niemann's club throw that cost him a 2-shot penalty. First bullet. After hitting 2 balls OB, Niemann tried to get free relief from fire ants to no avail, from where his third drive ended up in the fescue. Next bullet. Got visibly angry and kicked the white flag that another volunteer used to mark his ball. Next bullet. Continued to kick around the sand. Next one, proceeded to chuck his iron from the fescue area approximately 50 yards to the very edge of the course on the right. And then the last one, almost did not walk back to the club until a police officer delivered it to him. And then in quotes from Mr. Chang, pretty impressive throw. So maybe the real answer is
this wasn't violently throwing the club at the bag. I mean, this was a Olympic level hurl.
Oh man, they should have like they should to draw a line somewhere, they should say, okay, you can throw your club but only 10 yards or less. That's it. Or in the direction of your bag. Anything further is a penalty. It actually reminds me of this guy that me and Matt played with at Canyon Lakes. I can't remember his name. Andy was his first name. And one thing about Andy is just kind of like I don't know, like almost look like meth head strength kind of guy. You kind of know what I'm talking about? Like poor Andy. I hope he's not listening. Just real scrawny. Like he looked old, but he looked really, really scrawny, but also like kind of ripped. And old guy, old-ish, maybe 50s. And one thing about him is he wanted the flag stick in for every putt, regardless of distance. And there were times where he'd be like 40 feet away on like an uphill putt, and we're like early in the round, we're like, you want this one out too? Yep, I always want him out, or always want him in, always want him in. And me and Matt would look at each other like, okay, whatever, dude. And finally, we get to the 10th hole at Canyon Lakes. In fact, it was a similar pin placement to where it was when you and I were there this week. And he's on the front of the green, and the pin's on the back, and there's like a massive mound. And no, I'm getting the story mixed up. He always wanted it pulled, no matter what. Okay, so always
that makes
wanted it
more
pulled.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. He always wanted it pulled, and so we finally get to that hole. And at this point, he's already made it clear, I always want it out. So we're like walking up to it sheepishly, take the flag out, and kind of like get the nod from him, like, okay, he wants it out. And he's lining up his putt, and he finally is like, All right. Yeah, put that one in. I can't see it. Finally. And this guy was a total snap show. We get to the 13th hole, the par five, and I can't even remember what the shot did, but he was on the right front of the green, and on that hole where the carts are on the left, kind of curling off towards the street, and he hits a chip shot, and he chucks this club like truly from there, like a horizontal like fastball. It hardly dropped over the plate, and it makes it all the way over to the carts. And me and Matt are like, this guy's an absolute psycho. So if I was going to compare and address penalties, I would say, Andy, you deserve a 2-stroke penalty for that particular throw, simply because it went 50 yards. It had the sound to it. That's a 2-stroke penalty in my book.
I have to ask a question. So when I say I'm not a club thrower, there's two types of club throws in my opinion. Because there's a situation where it's like, even after a good or bad shot, it's like the cart is in a weird angle. You have to walk around a bunker and you're going to go putt. You have your putter already. So it's like you have to walk all the way to do the thing. So if I'm going to like get the club in a line of where I'm going to be walking from the pin to the thing, I make sure I kind of like do one of these moves, right? Just kind of a move. So the club doesn't rotate. It's kind of still.
Yep.
And I feel like if you throw the club that way, if it doesn't rotate, no matter how far it goes, it's not an anger throw. But if you take it and you throw it like a hatchet and it's spinning, or you're throwing it like this and it's spinning like a dagger, that's an anger throw. And there's a difference.
No, this is good. So if we're writing the rules
fair?
for the committee, that would have to be an exception. So maybe the rule is it's only a 2-stroke penalty if you throw it more than 10 yards and it has rotational force on it. Because it would be really hard to angrily throw a club and
like a shot,
not
like
let it
knuckleball.
Now rewind. I think an overhand javelin style throw could be done in anger and could be more than 10 yards and be done. Like to me, that could be.
I'm going to give a pass. If you can javelin throw a golf club with no rotation in anger, pass. Pass, dude. Pass.
I think you and I are getting to exactly why some of the rules in golf are so hard to, comply with and to enforce, because here we are right here in the middle of it, right? I did see a clip of John Rahm was butthurt and he threw his club on the ground. It was like I think he dropped it like on his swing, if I remember right, and then he's like walking off the tee box and he's just like kicking it down the tee box with him, just being butthurt because of his drive. People are using that as an example of like, well, why isn't this a 2-stroke penalty? And I didn't watch Joaquin Neiman's, but I'm just looking at this one. I'm like, this. Like, what's the penalty for? Like, just being a baby? Like, I don't know. I'm on board with penalizing these guys.
I think with the notes from that journalist, I forget their name, it details exactly why he was penalized, right? It wasn't just damn it and throw it, like hitting the ground with the club and moving on. I mean, it was a series of angry events that are unbecoming, a series of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, he deserves it. And I'll qualify what I said earlier. I do think that more guys should be penalized for less egregious angriness. I don't know. Like, I think if you damage anything that is outside of what would happen to the course in normal play, I would argue that could be penalized, right? If you bury the head of your iron into the ground, that would never happen in any way. That should be a penalty.
Unless Mario's playing.
Yeah. he might hit the ball twice in that case too. Oh man. Hey, I don't want to talk about that round. We're not going to go there.
Okay. No, I'm with you. Because there's I can't remember who it was, but they broke a tee box. I think it was John Rahm. People like to smack the little boom mics that are sitting next to the greens. I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's kind of like the Department of Transportation has like I don't even know if it's enforced this way anymore, but they used to have a rule or a kind of a stipulation on if you have to report a vehicle accident, and one of the guidelines or one of the thresholds was if it did more than $500 in damage. So in theory, if you're a DOT driver, you could get in some sort of fender bender that maybe busts your headlight. And if you can replace it for less than $500, then you don't have to report it as an accident to the Department of Transportation. So maybe we got to sprinkle a little bit of that in there too. If you throw your club or do more than nominal amount of damage. Are we moving on from this? Are you kicking me off the topic?
Yeah. I wanna get into the roll app thing. We're 45 minutes in. So I have roll app's letter pulled up. It's a quick read. I'm gonna run through it. And then there's obviously other notes, talking about what's upcoming, what's changing.
Give us the lowdown.
Written by Brian Rolapp. Today marks a pivotal moment for the PGA Tour as we move forward with a new competitive system starting in the 2028 season. Throughout this process, we have listened closely to players, partners, and our fans. You told us you wanted to see the best players in the world competing against one another more often. You wanted clearer stakes as the season unfolds, and you wanted a more dramatic finish to the season that rewards excellence and makes every tournament matter, which you and I talked about. We'll bring it up in a second. This new model is our response. One tour, two compelling series of events played at the most worthy courses for the highest stakes, culminating in a true postseason that crowns the best golfer in the world. Every event serves a distinct purpose, contributing to one unified objective, to be the strongest, most compelling golf platform in the world for the benefit of our fans, partners, and players. While our competitive model is evolving, we remain committed to making a positive impact. Since 1968, the PGA Tour has been guided by the belief that golf can be a force for good. As the PGA Tour grows, so will our ability to support the communities where we play. Today's announcement represents meaningful progress, but our work is far from finished. We will continue refining elements of the model and sharing public updates as we move toward implementation. Thank you for your passion for the PGA Tour and for the game of golf. Your feedback helped shape this work, and we will continue listening as we build the strongest, most competitive golf platform in the world. I 100% believe the end of that piece. There was a lot of feedback talking about what golf fans wanted the PGA Tour to look like. You and I did a podcast last year that went 3.5 hours where we talked about, right after Roll-Up came in, how we wanted the PGA Tour to look. And the things that we're seeing being released here are eerily similar to that. This is exactly what people wanted. Yep. Limited fields, gone, done. We don't want that crap. We don't want it. We want to see full fields. We want to see cuts. Matt wants more match play, and by golly, we're getting it, baby.
Yeah. So yes. I mean, we talked a lot about this. It's awesome to know that they're listening, right? It's like, it seemed like for so long the PGA Tour was this just inevitable tour that was just rooted in tradition and, well, this is how we've always done it. But then on the flip side, they would do these obscure things and decisions that was just clearly the only people they were listening to were the top 10 players in the world. And I love what they've got going here. So I do want to touch on some bullets for these two different series that he's talking about. And in his press conference, he said, right now there are 47 PGA Tour tournaments in a year. And in 2028, despite this big change, there's still going to be 47 PGA Tour tournaments, which I think is pretty cool, right? It's not really making anybody sacrifice for this change to be implemented. So we're going to have the PGA Tour.
Split. There's like two different levels happening.
Yep, absolutely. So the PGA Tour Championship Series, okay? So this is one of those tiers. This is the higher of the two. So it says we're going to have 23 to 24 events, including the Players, the 4 major championships, international team events. And these are all going to be the $20 million purse that we're used to with the signature events. 10 of those 15 championship series have been finalized. I assume that to mean that they're just going to use the tournaments that are currently in play and just brand them as the championship series. And then there's 5 more to be filled in larger new markets, which we'll talk more about that. The field size on average will be 120 players. This is a change from the signature event model. And they are all going to feature a 36-hole cut. 65 players and ties are going to move on from the cut. I like that change a lot. I think I never really felt too strongly about cuts or no cuts until the Live debacle was happening. And anyhow, that's neither here nor there. And then this is kind of a big change. This is something I was not expecting. The Tour Championship, the finale of the playoffs, is going to rotate around to different golf courses, and match play will be integrated in some form. I love that. I think it just felt like the Tour Championship was always going to be played at the same place. It just seemed like it was so baked into, Coca-Cola being this massive title sponsor, and we have the FedEx Cup tied into it. They signed a 10-year deal, all this stuff. It just felt like all of those kind of administrative reasons why we couldn't change it were just happening, and East Lake was going to be our forever golden child. They're not going to do that anymore, which I love. And then the last bit on here, and I love this. I didn't notice this till I just pulled up this article. There will be no alternates or sponsor exemptions into these events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got to earn it.
That's huge. That's huge. Now, before we start hashing out some of these bullets, I just want to touch on the PGA Tour Challenger Series bullets. So this is the second tier that's been introduced. It says the new second tier on tour that will also be the primary pathway to get into the championship series. So at least 20 Challenger Series events will take place, with 7 of them expected to be standalone tournaments that will not overlap with the championship series events. All of them will feature a 36-hole cut. Those fields are going to be the typical 144-ish players with a purse around $4 million. I do remember reading somewhere that they're going to retain around 90 players on the championship series each year, with at least 20 going up from the Challenger Series up to the championship series. So there's a clear distinction in these two, both PGA Tour sanctioned events. There's a clear distinction. I think Rory said glorified Corn Ferry Tour is what he said. And I think he's a little bit right, but it's just a clear step to getting to the top level of golf. And I'm excited to see how it gets rolled out. There is a little section on relegation and promotion. The championship series will have a point structure. Top 90 players will be retained and remain on that top series. Anybody that finished outside of the 90 will face relegation to go down to the Challenger Series. I'm assuming that to mean they're going to hold their PGA Tour card and just go down to the Challenger Series. And a minimum of 20 players from the Challenger Series will be promoted each season, with remaining spots determined through multiple criteria, including tournament winners, medical extensions, career milestones, etc.
So you kind of touched on it. There is a way to move from the Challenger to the championship if you get 2 Challenger Series wins by mid-season. You can be promoted.
Okay.
But once you get up there, you're in for the rest of the season, right? So you'll be in there for the the End Cup Championship. I don't know if it'll change the name from FedEx Cup, but you can get in if you do that. If you rip off a couple wins early, you can jump in. But there isn't any relegation mid-season, so that'll be interesting. So this is what we talked about, right? I mean, you're going to have a group of guys that it's the same group of guys week in, week out now. They're going to be in the top series versus the lower tier series. And I don't disagree with Rory, right? I mean, there's some tournaments out there, PGA Tour events, that just don't have the zhuzh to it, right? They're not, there's a couple of the ones that are a little bit more fun to watch. Like we've talked about the John Deere Classic, and I think people like the Travelers, that's coming up this week. But there's a lot of tournaments that just people are like, oh, it's just another tournament, especially the ones that are, and this is the argument for trying to fix it, but the ones where the winner is 25 under, right? For the most part, those are the tournaments people only tune in on Sunday and see just kind of where the last 6 guys are. So this makes sense. And I think a split is due, right? Like how I had split it was a little bit more top heavy, having like premier events. Admittedly, I didn't think they would go away from the no cut events. So I just kind of like, cutting my losses, if you will, or conceding that wasn't going to go away. And I was saying, within the season, having a very limited field event of the top 25, 30, whatever players, and having a second event that same weekend. But I like this even more. Like, this is way better. Yeah. I didn't think that they would do this. And so seeing this news, I was stoked. I'm curious to see going into 2028 how they're gonna delineate who's in and who's out. I would imagine the rules and the infrastructure of this needs to be set by the end of this year so that they can put out all the information for the golfers going into the 2027 season and say, hey, just so you know, 2027, while we're going to play by the rules that are already in place, is going to directly affect your starting position in the new split tier PGA Tour.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You'd mentioned some of those events that are just, that don't really have the zhuzh as you described.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and I don't know if this means I'm going to be more intrigued to watch personally, but I think generally there would be more intrigue to watch. A lot of these events get classified, whether they're watchable or not, before the tournament even starts when you just look at the field.
Right.
You find out, well, Scotty's not playing, Rory's not playing, Brooks isn't playing, and like then you start to look like, okay, well, there's only 3 guys in the top 20 playing, and so like before you even watch, you're like, well, I don't know, those guys don't want to play, so I guess it's worth watching. Whereas I think this 2-tiered system, again, I'm not going to say it's going to make me more intrigued to watch. I mean, I definitely will in 2028, but it like you don't have to worry about that, right? You know what it is when you're watching it. You know exactly what you're signing up for, and I can imagine a time when so and so wins, and they have 4 more tournaments to lock in another win and automatically get promoted, right? There's just more story to it that I think will add more intrigue, especially for some of these up and coming guys, you know, the Jackson Coivins of the world, that we can come in and say, okay, now we don't have to compare their success to the top 30 golfers in the world and you know, call it a failure if they don't finish top 10. It's just, I don't know, I like it. I'm on board with it. Another thing I just was looking up, you mentioned like, what are they going to call the Tour Championship? So the FedEx Cup deal, the sponsorship deal they signed with the PGA Tour, is set to expire at the end of next season, the 2027 season. So I can't imagine this change and the timing of it is a coincidence. I don't know if they're seeking another FedEx Cup deal or FedEx deal, or if they're looking for something different. But I think that would explain why that's the timing of it. Is you know, everything that we know about golf for the last 10 plus years has been FedEx branded, right? We've got FedEx Cup leaderboards on the first tournament of the year, right? Everything's FedEx Cup. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's awesome. Now, one bullet I want to go back up to that I said we'd come back to was the part about moving the Tour Championship around to different golf courses. Okay, so I know you and I were talking off air about you know, some courses that were mentioned as, I guess we'll say, potentials, or the types of courses they're looking into are Pine Valley and Cypress Point, which are you know, I think for a million years running have been listed 1 and 2 best golf courses in the country. And I think, as you had said, that's not necessarily a confirmed thing that we could even expect that, but I'm excited for the idea of them going to do this Tour Championship at places that maybe we're all familiar with the name because it's just one of those courses, but they don't play a lot. They don't go to that often, or courses that they've played US Opens at that they just aren't going to go back to until 2051. I think that's exciting. I love it. And I hope Cypress Point's one of them. Sometimes I tend to think that places like Pine Valley and Cypress Point, like the ultra exclusive courses of the world, I always assume they don't play PGA tournaments there because of some sort of maybe privacy, or, you know, kind of opening the doors to the public in a way. And I feel hopeful with Cypress Point because they played the Walker Cup there, which tells me that they're not, you know, they're not shy about hosting high level golf tournaments. They're also not shy about hosting televised, you know, highly watched golf tournaments. So I don't have a reason why I would think this, but it just makes me think that you know, Cypress Point would definitely be a possibility.
Man, I remember watching Cypress Point last year. That was I think I think it rivaled watching Augusta National on TV. I mean, it's that breathtaking even on TV. I cannot imagine what that place is like in person. Cannot imagine.
I mean, so many PGA professionals, PGA Tour professionals, like claim that to be their favorite course. That in Pine Valley. So it's like, gosh, if you're going to listen to the fans, listen to the players here too, right? Ask them what their favorite course is, give them their wish. Let's go play a tournament at Pine Valley, baby. And to be honest, I don't even know. I know I've seen Pine Valley because I've probably Googled it at a certain point, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know that I've really seen any like actual Pine Valley footage in recent memory. It's just this mysterious like #1 golf course in the world.
Yeah. You know what, the other piece that I was kind of thinking about is it, I know that they're going after the #1 and 2 courses, but I think when they start, if this is something they can do and they're willing to do, I guess, I think it opens up the door to play any course. Like, I think it might just kind of reset the, okay, what do we actually need for a PGA Tour event? Because I feel like a lot of this stuff is probably established. It's just easy. The infrastructure is already set up. The people we have to talk to make it happen are already there. And that's the pitch, right? Like if I'm, at name the established golf course in Central Texas, like, hey man, you already come through here at this season. I already have, all of the labor to set up all the bleachers. I've been doing this for X amount of years. Like, you don't have to guess if I'm going to be able to put this tournament on.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, you're right. Okay, you won it. Like, you get to host the tournament. But I don't know. Let's risk it for the biscuit, man. Like, there's a lot of golf courses here, and not just here. There's a lot of golf courses in Canada. There's a lot of golf courses everywhere. Like, we don't have to just play the same, 60 courses on rotation on a 5-year rotation. Like, we can mix it up, man. And that's not to say that I'm tired of seeing some of these courses, but I think some of the ones that are the ho hums, right? Like, maybe make the buzz on some of these Challenger Series weekends. Maybe put them at some of these courses that they haven't played that you don't get to see on TV, right? Because I'm gonna watch Rory McIlroy and Wyndham Clark and Scotty Scheffler, like Xander Schauffele. Like, I'm gonna watch those guys regardless of where they're playing. They could come here and play Sun Willows. I'm watching that for 4 days in a row, right? Like, I'm gonna watch it because those guys, it's the guys that are bringing it. So, in the same breath, like, if guys aren't tuning in to watch, the glorified Corn Ferry events, okay, let those guys play at Pine Valley. Let's put
Absolutely.
Pine Valley on TV there.
That's truly the only reason I watch the Walker Cup. Like, the Walker Cup's an event that I'm like, I hear about it and I'm like, man, I wish I knew that was playing. I would have watched it. I just never do. But I watched it because it was at Cypress Point. And I just quickly, just at first pass here, I got the top 100 golf courses in the United States. So Cypress Point's 1, Pine Valley's 2. Interestingly enough, I did not realize it was this highly listed, but Shinnecock is number 3. But I'm just going to go through maybe the top 20 and just highlight courses that I don't think they've played PGA Tour events, or at least not regularly. So number 4 on the list is National Golf Links of America. I'm almost certain they used to play this course, but that's a course that I'm not familiar with. I haven't heard them play PGA Tour events there. Let's throw that on the list. We got Oakmont, Sand Hills in Nebraska. I've only heard good things about that course. It's probably one of those courses that the talking heads say that there's not enough infrastructure to get fans in there. But that's a course that every golfer, like people like us, right, just normal 30s guys that picked up golf late in life, like everybody knows about places like Sand Hills. Let's see, Marion, Augusta, LA Country Club, Fisher's Island Club in New York. Place looks phenomenal. I'm sure really good golfers are aware of this place. Friars Head, Chicago Golf Club. I don't think they've played a tournament there since like the 80s. Bandon Dunes, of course. Prairie Dunes Country Club in Kansas. I mean, that's what these guys should be doing. They should just be checking off all the top 100 courses in the world.
Yeah. Like, what's the point? Like, honestly, it's crazy that this is where we're saying this, but shouldn't that be exactly what the purpose of the top 100 is?
Yeah. It's like, are these courses worthy of hosting a PGA Tour event, right?
If we're talking about, these are the courses that are claiming they're the best for golf, right? Like, when it comes to just its beauty, its layout, its difficulty, what it asks you to do as a golfer, right? Because all of that matters when it goes into the top 100. Then why the heck are PGA players not playing there more often. And admittedly, there's some of them that they do come across, right? Like obviously Augusta's number 8. LA Country Club's on there, right? So there's some of them that they play, but I haven't seen them play Friar's Head or Chicago Golf Club. I mean, Pebble Beach is on there, obviously, but there's a lot of these that just don't ever come up. And there's, in my opinion, the only reason why they don't is because the members are like, nah, I'm good, dude. I'm good. I like my situation. I'm not interested in shutting my golf course down for a month and a half, 2 months, or whatever it takes to make sure that the course is ready for these clowns. And I get that, right? Like that's a piece that plays into this. Because if I was a member spending, I don't remember what golf course were we looking up?
We were looking up Shinnecock.
Oh, Shinnecock. It's reported that your initiation fees are something between 75 and 180 or 200 grand, and then your monthly dues are $1,500 to $2,000 a month, right? If you're that guy, you're spending that kind of money. Like, I understand if you're like, I don't want a PGA Tour event here, I'm going to vote no. Like, I want to play the course. So that's something we have to take into account. But I would imagine a lot of these places would welcome it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the PGA, right? You're the PGA, and there's a course that you want, right? Let's pick one here. Let's go. I don't know, Lido in Wisconsin. You go to those guys and you bring members or representatives from other courses that are also in the top 100 that have hosted PGA Tour events. And you go, just talk to these guys. Talk to them about what it was like. Talk to them about the benefits of it. Like, this is the personal experience. These are members at the country club that we played at PGA Tour event at, and sell them. And I think that's good for golf. I want to see those things on TV. I want to see Lido played on TV.
I mean, my favorite golf tournaments to watch, aside from the majors, are tournaments where like the main character is the golf course. Because no matter what happens on the course, no matter who's playing, how good they're playing or how bad they're playing, some of these courses are just that good and that kind of prestigious or that much on a pedestal that it's like, I just want to tune in to get a glimpse. Because some of these courses, I mean, gosh, I'm just thinking of like, what's the name of that course on the old PGA Tour video games in Mesquite, Nevada? Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, yeah.
Right, like give me the Wolf Creeks of the world where it's like just everybody knows about the course. They know the name of the course. They know where it's at. Some people might know every hole, right? It's like, I want to go see the guys. Like, I can't play it. I'm never going to have a chance to play these courses. I'll never have a chance to play. Let's go through here. I mean, Shinnecock's a good example, but like, I'm just never in reality going to have a chance to play Cypress Point, right? Unless the stars line up and I meet somebody and they brush shoulders with another guy and I happen to get the invite. Like, I'm just never going to get to play Cypress Point or Pine Valley or any of these other courses. So give me a little bit. And that's going to draw eyeballs. And I don't think the members want or need or care about the eyeballs. But I just don't really see the way these private memberships are set up. A lot of them, like I just don't really see a true downside, right? It's not like, yeah, you'll get more people on the waiting list, I guess, right? Right. You're not losing membership because a lot of people see your course and love it and are interested. But I guess I do understand like the idea that, there's a lot that goes on for these tournaments, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of time, also a lot of recovery from a PGA Tour tournament. So I get it, but I don't know. This back to the whole main point here. This does have me excited. Like the not knowing is the exciting part. That like truly it feels like you could kind of drum up a reason for a lot of courses to be thrown in the mix. And then specifically back to the championship series, they said they want to go to bigger, newer markets. I think Chicago was listed, Seattle was listed. They want to play more tournaments in the Pacific Northwest, and my brain immediately goes to Chambers Bay. And obviously, I have like a really sick affinity to the 2015 US Open. In fact, I just watched it again last week. It's just my favorite tournament. I loved it. It is to this day the number one course for me. I've played it, I think, 3 or 4 times. It's my favorite course, my favorite tournament to watch. And I hope this means we're going to get a Chambers Bay PGA Tour event, if not signature event or whatever they're calling them on the championship series. Now, before I get your commentary on that, I did get a message on Instagram from Nick Mandel. I think he's a new listener of the pod. Just followed us on Instagram. He's a fantastic golfer. I think he played at WSU. Anyhow, he chimed in and he said, well, what about Sahali? What about Aldera? And those are some like really highly ranked private courses in the Seattle area. And he actually had a point. He says, he's like, I think Chambers Bay would be better suited for just a regular PGA Tour event.
I agree.
And if I were to give feedback to that, I think I would look back and say, what was the issue with Chambers Bay? Well, the greens were like the issue. And they addressed that. They used to be fescue. They were fescue in the 2015 US Open. They've changed that like the year after they changed the greens. They're no longer fescue. Some infrastructure issues, but I think you could host a PGA Tour event there, and it would scratch my itch, that's for sure. And then he also mentioned that like Chambers Bay could almost be a perfect PGA Championship tournament location, because like the PGA Championship, there's not really like a set ethos to it. We've talked about that. There's not really like a guideline or like a parameter for a PGA Championship course. So you could just like kind of let Chambers Bay have free reign and say, hey, we're going to host a PGA Championship. You don't have to make it firm and fast. You don't have to let the greens get baked out. Just let the course be what it is.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
And go ahead.
Oh, while you were talking, I went down a hole over here, so don't worry about me. Yeah. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for the 1985 Walker Cup. So.
Oh, okay. Neither here nor there. Now, I'm pretty sure they play an LPGA tournament in Sahali every year. So obviously, like that's a place that can, from an infrastructure standpoint, obviously host a professional level event. I don't know that as many people are going to those events in person for LPGA as they are for PGA. But it does make me excited to see that, I mean, Pumpkin Ridge would be a cool place to see, any of these courses, especially for us selfishly, within driving distance. Like you and I have talked about this, like we talk about this stuff every week. We're sicko golf fans, and like, we really haven't gone to a lot of PGA Tour events, a lot of professional golf events, and they're hard to get to, and especially in the Pacific Northwest, they just don't come around very often. So it would be really, really cool if we had something in our neck of the woods, and yeah, just kind of support the cause. Go and buy some tickets and watch a golf tournament. Heck, I've been to as many live golf tournaments as I have PGA Tour events.
I've only been to one, so I've only been to one, so there you have it.
Do you think Wine Valley could ever host a PGA Tour tournament?
I want to say yes, but I just think that the yardage is just not. I mean, what are the back tees playing at?
I think they're pretty long, like 7,400.
I don't know if the effective yardage though is actually 7,400. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because the true, like, the card yardage is long, but it just doesn't play that long.
Right.
It's 7,600 yards, and I don't know if they have much room. Well, take that back. I mean, they would have to build tee boxes to extend the length of some of these, because they have a lot of property out there. But I mean, I do think I agree with you. I think the effective yardage on a 7,600 yard course here, it probably plays closer to 72, just with how some of the tee shots are. Greens kind of sloping forward and a lot of rollout. But who knows? I just makes me wonder, because they do a lot of US Open qualifying rounds there, and I've seen some of the scores, and they're not like 9 under. They're not like completely destroying the golf course.
Right.
But I mean, that place kind of seems prime for the picking from a infrastructure standpoint. Got so much room. There's nowhere to park. That could be a problem.
I think it could be. I think you could do I don't know, I think a Corn Ferry event could easily be played there. I just don't know if PGA would go there. Like if I'm the PGA Tour, and this is not me, putting Wine Valley down. I love Wine Valley. I just don't know if it would qualify as a PGA. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like it would be that course. I just don't know how you fit it in.
Well, I can already picture it, like PGA Tour hosting a tournament at Wine Valley Golf Club, and it would be kind of branded as like this Seattle large market area, right? It's
Yeah, and
kind of
then
like what
people look
people
it up,
say
they're
with like
like
the
4 hours away from Seattle.
yeah, yeah. It's like the the Chicago Bears are moving to Indiana, right? So it's like it's not actually the Chicago Bears or what is it? The 49ers, their stadium's in Santa Clara, not San Francisco. No, I hear you. I think for all the reasons that you're mentioning, like the reasons you can't really define in words, it just doesn't really it's not really a location for PGA Tour event. Um, no, I mean I like these changes. I'm excited for it. I think you and I put a lot of our faith in Brian Rolap really early on, like right after he came on. Hence the 3.5 hour episode we did, 25, 30 episodes ago. And I mean, I trust the guy. I mean, he was answering some of the questions to it. He was addressing Rory's comments about the glorified Corn Ferry Tour. He speaks confidently on this stuff, and it's kind of funny when you roll it out. I guess for so long, listening to golf podcasts for 10 years and following golf for so long, you kind of get brainwashed into thinking that it's just this whole thing's way more complicated than we realize, right? That the sponsorship relationships there's a lot more going on than any of us, minions could ever realize. And I think, he presents it in a way that's like, oh, you know what? It's actually not that hard, right? It's like he just came up with a plan and he's just going to execute it, and it's not going to disrupt the golfing landscape. It's not going to disrupt how many tournaments we have, right? Like, so all these sponsors, like these title sponsors of all these 47 tournaments, it sounds like he's going to be able to uphold all of those commitments, right? He's like, hey, we're still coming to town. Okay. It's still a PGA Tour event. It's just going to look a little different. It's going to smell a little different. It's going to sound a little different. But hopefully, what comes out is a compelling product. I what I think is going to be the biggest challenge here that I don't know that this addresses, and I don't know that they really spoke to it, but like, is this season finale thing going to matter at some point? Like more than it does. That the tour championship as it stands now, yeah, it's big. It matters to some guys more than others. I don't know how much it matters to golf fans. Like I just don't know that we really list like the tour championship winner as highly or even like remotely as high as a major win or a players win or even a signature event win. Comes with a big cash prize, but it just when you relate it to other sports, it just isn't the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl or the World Series of golf. And like, can they pull that off so that 10 years from now, we're counting how many tour championships guys win when we're measuring the success of their career? And I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see. I'm curious how it turns out, but I think that's for another day.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm excited for it. This is all good stuff. I do want to give one quick shout out to Aaron Rye and you on Aaron Rye's finish. Okay, he finished T11. I was pretty hard on the guy. I also saw exactly 0 golf shots of his
Yeah.
on the broadcast, but he was a guy who talked a lot about him coming off a win at the PGA Championship, and I asked you point blank, does he stand a chance? And I think the real answer is maybe he never did stand a chance, but he finished T11, and you had said firmly, so listen, this is a guy I'd bet my house on top 20. And sure enough, he did. In fact, another one I wanted to mention, we did talk about Keith Mitchell, and I don't know if this is more or less impressive than shooting 41-29, but he shot even par every single day of the tournament. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
I don't think I have either. When somebody mentioned it, I felt like I had seen his score, but it didn't process that it was 4 days of par golf. So pretty impressive. I don't know. I'm a Keith Mitchell guy. I like him. And you're Aaron Rye. I think he just did all the things that I said. I mean, I didn't look at his dated golf stats, but if I were to guess, he was probably towards the top in strokes gained and finding the short grass,
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
hitting greens. So
Yep.
are those things going to win you tournaments? Like I said when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, usually no, right? Like you have to line up all 4 faces of golf to win tournaments. But if you get 2 of the bigger ones lined up, like you're gonna have a great career.
Yep. So before we wrap up, I just want to point out a couple notable miscuts from the U.S. Open this year. Right now, 0 for 3, Bryson DeChambeau. So, it's we talked about before. Are we selling stock? Are we worried about Bryson? I kept saying no. I'm gonna wait for the season to end. Okay, I'm gonna wait till this season's over before I make that determination. But that's just yet another miscut for Bryson DeChambeau. Patrick Reed. This is a guy that's been buzzing. He hasn't been playing a lot of golf though, so he misses the cut by a stroke. John Rahm missed the cut. Cam Smith, kind of a one of my favorites, missed the cut. And then your guy, our guy, the guy, JJ Spawn, missing the cut by a large margin. And then
he had a bad Thursday. I mean, shot a 77 on Thursday. Not quite as bad on Friday with a 71, but still a miscut.
Yep. Brooks Koepka got dropped from coverage pretty early in the tournament. Obviously everybody had eyes on him because he won here the last time the PGA Champ or the U.S. Open was here. Missed the cut, had a very bad Thursday, Friday. Our guy here on the pod, Mr. Jonathan Bradley Holmes, missed the cut by a large margin. JB Holmes, if you're wondering who that is. I was just referring to him as his alias. Anyhow, good week, good major championship. Sad that we're 75% of the way there. But we got more golf to come.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll wrap it up here. This is one of our longer ones. I'm going to try to get to bed here. It's 2 hours ahead in Dallas, and I got an early morning. All right, see you next time.
All right, bye, guys.